Hello and welcome, all of you golf fans here on Tenacious Sports. I am your host, Tenacious Earl, and I am going to do this tournament, the Rattler. This is going to be our third tournament on the Tenacious Golf Tour. But this is going to be kind of like a third part to this how-to series for History Maker Golf. So if you're looking for that particular series, this is going to be a continuation of it, but because what we're going to do here, this is kind of like a tournament mode video. This is going to be basically describing all of the tournament mode processes that go into how you would carry out an event on your tour from pretty much the get-go. I've done a few things to prepare, and I'll talk about that in a second. But we're going to be at Desert Sky Golf Club in Scottsdale, TPC Scottsdale. You can see down below one of the classic scenes in all of golf. This is an event on the PGA Tour that usually happens on Super Bowl weekend, and this is the 16th hole, which is a par 3 that is basically a stadium hole. They turn it into, I forget how many, 20,000 people are around this relatively short par 3. I mean, not, I wouldn't say too short, but short enough that they can basically surround it with bleachers, and it is a rather raucous scene, given it is not a year that is afflicted by a pandemic. So hopefully next February during Super Bowl weekend or whatever, we'll be able to see this particular event, and we'll get to see it kind of in all its glory. The course itself, it's a TPC course. It's in the desert, Arizona, Phoenix area, and it's fine, but this is kind of like one of the big draws, I would say, for most people who are watching it, is kind of see this sort of a circus, kind of a frat boy atmosphere, if you will. But in any event, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to my other camera. I haven't put out anything yet, but this is just, I'm going to show you right now first. And I apologize, I found this old webcam. It's not the greatest. It gets the job done. It's a little grainy. I might try and turn it as we get to play in the game, so that way you can kind of see what I'm doing off camera here. But we have the main one down here. And so before I get too far, what we see here, I'm just going to kind of give you an impression. So one of the things to make sure that you understand is that for the first two tournaments, and actually quite a few tournaments in the previous season, I've developed some spreadsheets which kind of help me get through this process. I haven't been a big fan of using the cards on the tabletop with this tournament mode, because I add these custom cards and the sizes aren't quite the same. I also find in the way that I have done things in the past that cards kind of like stick together. So friend of the channel, Larry Rice, he comments here quite a bit. Friend of this tour, he's also running a fictional tour, kind of like side by side with it. He turned me on to these, I'm going to put it up here, these little glossy, I can put it down here too, glossy sleeves. And what I'm hoping, and I forget which pile I took it off of, it doesn't really make a difference. What I'm hoping is that this will help with the shuffling process. You can get them from a website called clearbags.com, and I think I've shown this before, but just in case, this is the specs for these. So they're 2" by 3 1/8 inch. They're a little, there's a little bit of a margin there, but there's nothing else that we've found that really fits the same. There were some that the Play website, that Keith, he did a video about it and discussed some. They had a little bit of the card sticking out, and I like these because the whole card's in there. Now we're going to play this process out, and this is going to be the first time I've used it in this process, and we will see how they work. But that's kind of where things stand right now. Is I use spreadsheets, but for this, because we want to do a tutorial on how to do this tournament mode, I'm going to try and play this out. I've also done some changes to my spreadsheets to where if this works out really well, I may do this more often. I'm kind of I prefer a manual way of doing things, just because I think the whole reason I kind of got into cards and dice was because I was kind of sick of the computer stuff. And the more computers that are used, it's fine, but it's also sort of taken me away from sort of like the pencil and paper and dice and cards as usual. So this is kind of a trial for me for that reason, but also because I'm hoping that maybe this. So maybe this is something that I will keep doing maybe every other tournament, or who knows. So I'm going to switch to this screen here. So this is kind of like one of the first engines that goes on here. I haven't put in the target score yet. I haven't really figured that out. We'll do it here in a second. Or the cut score is usually around 140, give or take a couple of strokes. I try to kind of go off of what is happening on, in relation to where that target score comes out. This is a B tier tournament. I can switch this over to our season 3, and as you can see here, the Rattler. I meant to put the link in here to Celebrity Classic. We do have Trent McAdams, the winner there, but we've got the Rattler, Desert Sky, and $7 million. But right here, tier B. So what that means is that it's going to be a few more. Well, here, let me go back to this. So if you recall, out of the top 50, I wanted to have 30 of the top 50 in these particular tournaments, as opposed to, I think it was down to 15 for the, there we go, hello, 15 in C tier tournaments. So that's kind of where I've, so what I have random number generators that are running over in these columns here. So this column here is and then what I do is I'll paste that over here, paste values. And so anybody with the ranks here, and you could see 7 repeats 3 times in this, but so I've been doing some calculations to try to figure out roughly how I can get to around 30 based on the number of random numbers you have to tell it to select between 1 and 50, because you're going to get repeats. So for this one, I got 33 when I wanted 30, and then out of the 50 to 100 rankings, I wanted to get 40, and I did end up getting right on the money, 40. So I'm pretty happy with this distribution. The previous tournament, it got a little bit screwy, and I'm blaming it on, what did I blame it on? I don't know. Somebody got their flights mixed up and they decided to go be a part of the tournament. There were a few too many good players in that first C tier tournament, so it made me go back and reanalyze what I was doing. And so I think, so now what I've done is I was able to take this, and if I go to this other tab right here, it actually takes all of the players that were selected that are not in the ranks that are ruled out, and it alphabetizes them. And so what I was able to do is take that, well, a combination of that and actually the rankings, and I was able to go through and I have come up with, this is the 156 field. These are in 10 golfer piles, and we're going to get ready to go here. So that's what you're looking at here. There are quite a few that are in like the Slacker Tour ranks as well, but as you can see here, when I did this previously, man, these would just stick together, and now it's a really kind of a nice, you can spread these things out all over the place and really move them quite niftily. There's no resistance there at all. So this is kind of when I do, so again, like I did it by rank. Those are all by rank, and I don't want to have like all of the top 10 or all of the best 10 players that are in the field all together in the same piles, because that would pretty much, I mean, it would be good probably for randomization, or it would be good for keeping out multiple. You'd probably lose quite a few guys, but what I like to do is I just like to try and I used to do this with the cards without sleeves, and it would just seem like they would all stick together, and you know, we can kind of like take this and fold them in here, and I think even with this you could pull them all together and do some shuffling without too much of an issue. But that first part, there's some, I hate to have these come over. I don't want to see the results yet. But now it's just a matter of getting them all into a pile. So what was I saying? It does take a lot of, one of the reasons that I like the spreadsheet methods that I have, it takes a lot of time to come up with a field, right? Like coming up with who's going to be in there is fine, but then sorting out the cards, it takes quite a bit of time. And not only that, but then taking the cards afterwards and putting them back into some kind of order that helps you the next time around to then mess them up again to pull them out into these piles and stuff. You know, it takes a significant amount of time. So just, that's a warning when you're running these tournaments. It is going to be an investment in time. You know, these tournaments probably take, you know, 4 or 5 hours in total, you know, from all of your bookkeeping and stuff like that. And you know, for you guys who don't really have a spreadsheet system yet, if you're new to this and you're just learning, you know, maybe you're doing a lot of stuff by pen. You know, Reggie Bowers has this season tracker that's available on the Facebook group, and you can get it. I think he's actually going to do a revise of that, which I think will make, sounds like he's going to try and take some suggestions and some feedback about issues that people have, I don't know about issues, or just, you know, wants and likes and dislikes and things like that, and trying to put out the best product you can. But so for a lot of people, a lot of new players, that's what they go to, is his tracker, and I think it works out pretty decent for most of them, or pretty well. But you know, I am also an advocate just for fair warning. I guess I would be an advocate in building your own stuff. And so it's not too hard to come up with just a standings. It does take some work, and it does take some learning, but in the process, and make sure this gets on the bottom there, in the process you learn something about spreadsheets. And then when you do a project with football next time, you have a bunch more capacity of how different formulas work, and it takes you less time, and eventually get to the point where you just do these things outright without really even thinking about it, and it takes you some time, but it's time well spent. So there we go. This is kind of like what I boiled it into. I don't know how good the shuffling has been. It's got to be better than the other thing. Now I have to find my I have to find my index cards. They're probably in a drawer in one of these things, so I'll be right back. Okay, so now we've got, so I couldn't find the old ones. I don't know what I did. I might have thrown them out, might have put them into a box. I really don't want to mess with the computer so much, because it can, my USB connections aren't so great. But what we're going to do now, I brought out my old dice tower. We're not using the baseball one for golf. Although that'd be fine. But I think maybe the groundskeeper wouldn't be happy with the divots in center field. But what we do now is we take all 156 and we try and cut them into halves. So we'll do the best we can with this. That's not even close. Let's take a little more. Take a few more. How does that do? I think that's pretty close. You can't see that, but that seems pretty close. And so that's morning and afternoon. If you follow the tour, you'll know that there are morning rounds and afternoon rounds. And actually, a lot of times, there are even players that start on the back nine. So the front nine, back nine, they'll try and keep things moving along so that everybody kind of gets done at a reasonable pace. So what we're going to do now is we cut this into 8 piles. And I didn't print out any of my sheets. I should have done that, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. If you go to my website, tenacious-sports.net, so tenacious-sports.net, if you go under scorekeeping, there are some files, and one of them is a nice little tracker that I feel like it's a nice little tracker. Not everybody will, but I think it works. So we're going to take the first pile, cut it into 2, and then we're going to take the 2 and cut them into 4, maybe. What am I doing here? I'm talking and not thinking. So we're just going to try and get these things relatively even in size. And the sleeves, they're slippery, which is probably a good thing for shuffling, not such a good thing for trying to keep a pile together. And I will admit probably some of the piles are larger than others, but we'll just have to work with that. Alright, so at this point I'm going to get out my cup that has my dice, and I keep this in like a little tool or like a parts chest, drawers, and my blue chips and my red chips. We just keep them in there. And we're just going to take 2 dice. We'll need the decider die too, potentially. At times. We'll get that out. And we're going to roll. I'll roll the white and the black. And we roll 2. And I'm just going to show this real quick. This is the chart that comes with the game. It's got the first 2 rounds here, the 3rd round there. And you roll 2 dice. I use black and white. And the result, you read in ascending order, and that tells you what combination of top versus draw golfers you get. So let's roll one out here. And again, I'm not worried so much about numbers here. I usually stress out. I'm just going to have fun with this. So let's roll. First roll is a 15. So the 15, if we go to the chart, we look draw 4, and then the top remaining golfer. So we're going to take this first pile. I guess you can't see it there because it's off to the right. You can barely see it. We're going to take the top 4. So Jason Huffman was the first guy. Darren Sears. Delmo Mazzanti. Marshall Weber. So those are 4 guys that will make the cut. We'll put them in the made cut pile right there. Okay. And then we're going to look through the rest of this pile and see who the top rating is. So the rating, if you see Marshall Weber here, it's a 3A. The tournament rating is based in a real set. So if they have a set based off of a real data set like the 2019 PGA Tour, that is based off of overall money winnings or points. One or the other. Those relate pretty close to each other. So, 1 is probably top 10 golfer. 1A is probably the top 2. 1B is probably 3 through 7 or 8. And then C is like 9, 10, maybe 11, 12, somewhere in there. And then 2 is, I don't know. I don't want to make actual designations, but you can see 1 is much better than 5. A is better than C. So 3A, Marshall Weber, he's kind of like in the middle. But so what we're going to do is we're going to look for the guy who has the lowest. If we have a 1A in here, that's best, but let's just go through and take a look. Got Tagaki Yamasaki, he's a 4B. He's probably not going to be it. 3B beats him, Cavallari. 3A beats him, that's Boyd Yeager, the Jägermeister. We got John Mulkers, who used to be a PNG card, but I made a custom card because they didn't card him this time. 4A, Gary Zakowski's a tour winner, but we will not have him in the weekend. Singleton, Dominic Jensen, Roger Bellino, 4C, and 6B for Ryan Broadus. So some of these guys that are slacker, or that are kind of like at the fringe of the tour. So it'll be Boyd Yeager is the 5th. So we got 5 there. But some of the guys on the fringe of the tour, I've given up above 5C. Usually play only gives up to 5C. But I have done that because I think that will help kind of thin the crowd a little bit in certain ways. So here we go with our second roll. 66. Draw one outstanding golfer. So the guy right on top, who is Lucas Rooney, he is going to be outstanding. So that's interesting there. And let's see who's in the pile who misses the cut. Nobody else gets through. Vazquez, Saxerholt, Huerta, Villanueva, Gene Ewing, Samson Peterson. He won 2 tour events last season. He doesn't get through. Vernon, Evan Aldrich, another mainstay, Josiah Jacobs. So Lucas Rooney with the outstanding run. He's a 6B. So you can see that in these under tournaments, you can get some interesting results at times here. So we roll a 34 now. We're going to draw another outstanding golfer, and that is Graham Wilkinson. So how about that? That's something that with this method, with my custom cards, I have been hypersensitive to. So we've done 3 piles so far, and out of all 3 of those piles, the top card was a custom card. So that bothers me a little bit. He'll be outstanding. We're going to honor it for this. That's one of the things that is a little frustrating to me at times, but I don't know as it has anything to do with it could be just blind luck. Top 3 remaining golfers. So let's take a look here. We've got Bauer, 4A, Sucheng Chen, who is kind of a surprise 1C. He's an Aditya Klein. 6B is not going to be in there because we got Brian. So we got, I know that I just saw Myung Cho. I'm going to move these guys forward a little bit so you can see the cards sitting down here in front and see the rating. So you can see 3A and 4A, 3A, 4A from Myung Cho. Bauer, I can guarantee you Chien's going to be in here. So Sells is a 3B. He beats out 4A. Then we've got a 5A, Mateo Soto, 7C, Luke Henneman. All these guys are turning around. Del Hutton, 4C, 4A, Kenny Service, 7B, Kenny Hughes. No, none of them will make it, so they're all going to miss the cut. And they go here, and I was just drawing a blank, but we had Wilkinson go to the outstanding. So there we go with that. So 1 outstanding, and then the others in the made. So here we go with 11. Top golfer only. But we're also going to do the draw golfers injured. The draw golfer is Ray Tuminello. And let's find out who the top golfer is here. Park, so there's 7B, 6B, 5A is currently the top. 4A, that'd be weird if that stayed, but let's pull them out. 4B, 7B, 7C, 7B, 6B, 6A. 3C is Najima. He's going to outrank Hal Marlowe for the moment. 4B, so we get a 3C there making the cut. Yanni Najima and Ray Tuminello. And I have the injury. So 11, that's the sort of the injury option. This is free off the Play site. You can download this. When you roll an 11, it changes from what it normally is, which is just the top golfer only, which draw golfer exits tournament, top golfer or top remaining golfer makes cut. And then what we'll do is we will re-roll on this chart here. It's 24. He is out till further notice with a back injury. So Tuminello is out with a back injury. That's not going to be good for his tour career for the season. I'm going to write this down somewhere. I can find a pen. Okay. So there's that. Now we're going to re-roll on the pile 4, 12. Draw 1, and then the top remaining golfer. So the draw, Kenji Morita. He makes it. And then, so there's 2 in a row now that I've had the draw golfer, the one that ends up on top, being a regular card. So that's kind of, that helps me out. So Dustin Emmerich 1C is better than 4B and 5A. 5A, 5B, or 4B, 3B, 3C, 1C. So there's a tie. They will both make it in. Gareth Leonard also gets in. So everybody else misses the cut. We're going to roll again. 35. So that's going to be draw 2. John Hudspeth. Tyler Gentry. They're 2. And then we're going to take the top 3. Connor Messick. Sonny Lemons. Alec Newcomb. Right now, Newcomb gets bumped for Runyon. Mauricio Mondragon doesn't make it. He's not better than 5A. But 5C, Will Janis, a tour winner. In the first season, he was actually a qualifier who won, which was a first for me. But I don't know if we really have qualifiers anymore. I guess these guys who are like maybe Lucas Rooney here could be considered a qualifier because they're like slacker eligible, which the slacker tour is my under tour. 26, draw 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This pile is a little shorter, but that's okay. So Allie Nelson. So we got Glenn Frassard, Cam Tullis, Gooch Wilborg. All under made. And then it's 26, so we get the top 2 remaining. There aren't too many left, so let's go ahead and flip these 2. Chip Connors, Burke Yielding. So actually there's only 1 left. Who can either of these guys be beat? Yako, which this guy reminds me of the Animaniac. Yako Pentilla. So Chip Connors misses the cut. Pentilla and Burke Yielding make the cut. And then we have 1 more pile for the morning rounds. Then the morning comes. 13 is going to be draw 2. 1. Martin Van Dyke. Familiar face. Mackay Berry. That's another one who kind of like moved in that first year. This is one of these cards. I told you that in a previous episode of the TGT that I set my tournament ratings in a little bit of a weird fashion the first year. I was going to use basically the custom cards in the Slacker Tour, and then I ended up needing qualifiers, and in the process I kind of some of these guys had better ratings. But anyway, so a 13 means we take the top golfer left. So Patrick Kieran, probably not, but we'll see. Maybe. Conrad Schultz, no. 6B, Damari Ramsey. 4A for Jurgen Bierman. Gotta love a guy with beer in his name. 4B, Ruben Riggs. Gage Valentine, 5C. So none of those guys will make it. It'll be Jurgen. So there is your morning threesomes. We're going to be using threesomes for this tournament. Now we're going to do the afternoon. And this time I'm going to pay a little bit closer attention. I feel like I kind of got talking, and that led to a little bit of shady dealing here. So now we're going to divide these guys into 2. Okay. Good. Now we're going to divide this here. Here. And then here. And here. So that's kind of the way that I do it. The first time I got a little bit off. So let's go ahead and keep going, making the cut. Afternoon, 44. That is draw 1, which is going to be Tyler Ochoa. And then the top 4 remaining. So the top 4 remaining, you got a 6A there for Samir Webb, a 7A Wayne Harper, 7A Nehemiah Henry, 3B Fabio Antonucci, 2C Bob Demmelmeyer. So here we go with some better clientele here. Joshua New, Celestino Garcia, Gerald Ashley, Tatsuo Shono. He's not going to make the cut. It's those 4 right there. The other guys miss. We'll put them up there on the miss pile. All right, now we go to pile 2. 35, that's draw 2. Eric Holt, Craig Angelo. Top 3, Nolan Molina, 7B. There's a 5C, Wacky Inoue, Wacky Wacky, I used to call him. Clive Kenny, a 5A. 2B for Gail Honorado. So let's see if any of these guys get bumped. Wacky won't make the cut. Yunli Song with his 2A. He's been downgraded in that. Lucas Bergman with a 5C. He's not going to make it either. But wait, Lucas Bergman with a 5A. He will make. I said 5C. I think I saw the other card. So he will make it. So there was 6 in this pile. I think we're on a pretty good rate here. We've had some lows, we've had some highs. That's what you want to see. When you're rolling this out, if you can help it, you get a couple that are only going to pull in 1 or 2, and then you get a couple that are pulling in 6, and you usually will end up right about right. 56, this is going to be draw 1. Alan Duvall. And here we're in a little bit more of a stretch where these top cards are customs, but that's to be expected, I guess. Wayne Wilcox, Hayden Livingston, Ji Woon Ko, and then we get 5 top 5s. So there's and there's Jae Gun Woo, and there's Carlos Solari. So a couple of 3Bs there. So if anything under 6, there's a 4A for Dale George. It's gonna we'll keep these 2 because ties are kept until we get to 3A. Derek Young, he was a newbie in the last one, so let's put these guys up here. 4B misses out. That's Gary Patel. 1A for Rance Aberley. He will make the cut, and that's going to, if we get somebody under 4, then we will knock out Ji Woon Ko and Dale George. Actually, we have 2 cards here. We got a 3B for Ozzy Valenti. So those 2 guys are gone. And now we have a 1B for Shinji Kanishi. So we had a couple of really heavy hitters there. And we're going to end up with all these 3Bs. We're going to end up with 6 tops. So that's a total of 7 out of that pile. Does happen. Just based on the rolls, and we're going to get this roll 34, which is going to produce an outstanding golfer who is Romeo Stone. All the outstandings are... Now, what I've done to counteract that in the past is I've used a D20 to then decide the top, and I found out I still end up getting my custom cards a lot of the time. So I just decided it wasn't worth it. Reese Gillespie, Kaisen Roca, and Ernest Sutton. So we're in a little bit of a glut of these custom cards. There's Fonseca, Marus Hirano. So the 6s are gone because that was 3 left, right? Yep. 1 top 3 remaining. So we got 7A for Frederick Rhodes. We got 1B for Enrique Magallanes, which is going to knock out Roca. Canepa and Stuart Ash. So that's our 3. What do we got going on here? We got a 24. So another 4. Malcolm Wiles, Goro Murasaki, the 2 draw golfers. He was probably going to make it in the top anyway with this, but 24, so it would draw 2, top 2 remaining. Kerry Finley, probably not with a 7B. There's Trevor Nolan, And the 7A, Samuel McGee beats him. We still have some more to go. We got 2A, Alain Zelderloo, young guy, up-and-comer. I believe he's Belgian. And he came up through the slacker last year. 4A for Kenneth Hahn, knocks out Trevor Nolan. Another 4A, Elliott Strong. 5C, Remington Ramirez. And a 7A, so we're going to get 3 more. So we get a total of 5 there. 3 more piles to go, and then we'll be done with the cut rounds. 12. We're going to draw one. Jeffrey Hahn, as opposed to Kenneth Hahn. And then we get the top golfer on top of that. So, Funk, Kawahara. I'm assuming none. We'll say Melton. Let's take a look at him. Probably going to be beaten. There's 5A for Meadows. 2B for Gil Granbury. So there is your leader right now in the clubhouse. 4C, no. 4C, Ladas, no. 7C, BL. So Gil Granbury is the 1. Give her another whirl here. It's going to be another 12. So, top one is Samson Tucker, not to be confused with Samson Peterson. Leon Bay, Harihula. Okay, so Bay gets knocked out for Trenchard. Solomon misses out. Soren Overgaard misses out, and Don Slattery as well. So Trenchard gets in. One more pile. 14, draw 3, 1, 2, 3. And then the top one is outstanding. Will we get a top golfer here who gets us into at least having one PNG card in the outstanding? So there's Sudbury, Castillo, Redwine, Reisner beats out Sudbury, and finally Todd Ahrens with a 3B beats out John Reisner, and so that's our cut. So that's where the cuts are, and we've got Tuminello injured. So all of these guys, I'm going to bag these up, and they're going to be put in as cut golfers, and from there we will clear this and we'll put up the other items that need to be put up in order to then set up our final round pairings. So, okay, so we have reached the point where we're going to do the third round. I've taken the cards that were in the made the cut. Well, first I've taken the ones from the mist and put them into baggies that I will input the golfers into my spreadsheet. I've taken the injured guy and put him into one for injured golfers, and also put that into my spreadsheet. Here are the outstanding golfers. I've shuffled them up, and I will most likely, because there's 4 of them, just roll a D6 until we get a result. And I have the made the cut golfers right here, and I've shuffled them up, and we're now going to split them into 7 piles. So we end up with 8 piles, but we do 7 here. So what I'm going to do is cut it into 2. This is always one that I it's weird cutting into 7, but I'm going to take this one and try and cut it into 3. And then cut this one into 2, but then make those are 2 larger ones, and I'm just going to do this. So this should give us 8 right here. I'll move this stuff over a little bit so we can see. So that's a little, it's a little hackneyed, but you get the job done when you do it this way. And then so we use a chart to the right of the same document that says completing the third round. We're going to roll to, and it's going to be 11. The top golfer contends with a plus. And so we go into this pile. Who is our top golfer? Is it Gooch Wilborg? No. It could be Burke Yielding. No. Maybe. No. There's Martin Van Dyke. Is he going to be? Kleckner? No. Gentry? No. Wiles? No. 2B is going to miss out Morita. So these guys are all going to finish with B+. Martin Van Dyke is going to be A+, and he's going to be pretty much one of the leaders. So we're going to put these guys at B+. Van Dyke's going to go over here to the star, which is A+. And I need to start a list of not TFN, perks and issues. Because I do this all in my spreadsheet, and I'm not using it this time. So I'm getting back into the habit here. There's a 12, so the top golfer contends with A+, so it's the same thing. But everybody's going to finish with B-, which they can't be in the final groups here. So who is the top golfer here? Rogers, no. Gareth Leonard, maybe. Well, these two guys, see, my shuffle job wasn't good. So Fonseca, Jaeger. Rance Aberley's going to knock him out. How about that? So he's going to be tied with Van Dyke at the top. And then the rest of these guys are going to finish B-. So that is too bad for Dustin Emmerich and for Gareth Leonard. Okay. Let's move. Oh, no. Whew, got lucky there. '56. Draw golfer A-. Jason Huffman. Others finish with D. So all these guys, Yunli Song, Sells, Garcia, Tucker, Granbury, Janis, Morisaki, Bierman, they're going to finish with D. This is one of these rolls where I'm getting the extreme rolls, which are kind of like weird cases. We're going to get 36, which will be a little bit. It's still top golfer contends with A-. So let's see, who's the top golfer? Broussard, probably not. Sears. Duval. Mazzanti. Still 3C is top. 3B, Ozzie Valeni moves to the top of the list. Also, the low golfer ends up what? Ends up D-. So currently Mazzanti is that. Antonucci 3B. There's a tie. Another tie. Jae-Gun Woo. There's Hudspeth. And here's a 3A from Sonny Lemon. So he's going to beat out these guys. Mazzanti's going to be D-. And the others are going to finish with C-. So we put all these others right over here with C-. Anybody B- and below finishes, and that gets auto-calculated, basically, by their tournament rating. But we get Sonny Lemons as the top golfer. He's going to be contending with A-. And these will set the scores. So 35. Draw golfer with A. Myung Cho is going to be A. Name we've heard a lot. Now the top golfer. Elliott Strong. There's Su Cheng Chen. Maybe he will be. Bob Demelmeyer. Yanni Nijima. Mackay Berry. Marshall Weber. Carlos Solari. Eric Holt, I didn't mention him. Cam Tullis. 1B is going to knock out 10. It's Shinji Kanishi. Clive Kenny. These guys are going to contend with B. So probably won't need them, but they could come in later with the emerging contender role that happens in the game. Okay, we got 3 more piles to go here. Another roll. 56 again. Draw golfer contends with A-. It's Tyler Ochoa. My dice are being contrary here. Others finish with D. Magellanes. creating some interesting names here. You can see the names here. I don't really want to talk about it too much because it's already decided, basically. So here we go. Another roll. We get 15 this time, and somehow I knocked these guys into oblivion. Draw golfer. Contends with A, and this guy will get a perk or issue. Connor Messick. Contends with A. Gets a perk or issue. And then the top golfer contends with A-. So is it Allie Nelson? Probably not. Could be Zelderloo. I'd love to see his name in this. Let's see. Pentilla. 2B Adam Trenchard. He's not going to make it. So what's 15? Others finish with C-. Zelderloo will be in the A- group. And now finally and I will use a D6 to do this because shuffling 4 cards is kind of tough. So 36. Well, top golfer. Who is the top golfer? Is it Aarons? It might be. Stone, Rooney, Wilkinson, and then the low golfer finished D-. So the top golfer is going to contend with A- for that 36. So these guys are going to go over with Mazzanti. They basically just tanked in the 3rd round. And Aarons. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to need 2 golfers out of the B+. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up everybody from B down into baggy, and then we'll come back and determine the scores. So I'm not going to show this, but I'm not going to show you the chart that I used. But so last year's final score was 270. So I do a little adjustment roll here. I take a D6 into decide or die, and it is a 4 with no dot. So in this case, there's no adjustment. So our target score for the Rattler is going to be 270. And I am just going to go ahead and make my cut score be 140 just for the sake of ease. And so now we have to decide where basically normalize it based on the target score. So we have a target score of 270, which is kind of like right in the middle of these guys. So A+. So with a target score of 270, that's 10 on. Wait, no, it's 14 under par. This is par 71, right? Yeah, 284 is the par. So that means 213 is par, even par after 3 rounds. So 201 is -12. So I have these little cards here that I've used over the years, and I'm going to bring them out again to do this. So we're going to do -12, -11. This will be the A+ golfers, will be those. And then -10, -9, -8, -7. And that will help us determine our 12. So I always like taking 12. I think the rules are a little bit ambivalent about that, or ambiguous, or just maybe they say you shouldn't take 12. I like doing that personally. I feel like we can accommodate 12, and it makes it an even 3 groups or 4 groups of 3s, and I just want to do it that way. But to each their own. If you just want to take the A or the A+ through A-, that is fine as well. But we're going to start with the A+, and it'll be Martin Van Dyke. If it's a dot, it's 12 under. And so that's where he will be. And as you can see, I'm going to have to do a little bit of adjustment here. And now Rance Aberley also. So we're going to put these guys together. And so -11 doesn't have any golfers there. Now we'll have the A's. Young Cho first. He's a no, so he'll be at -9. Connor Messick also at -9. So move these guys over just a little bit here so we have ample room. So now we've got a bunch of guys over here at A-. Huffman is going to be -7, which is going to be off the screen here. You won't be able to see that. Maybe I'll move it up here once we get to the... So Sonny Lemons, also -7. Shinji Kanishi, -8. Tyler Ochoa, -8. Zelderloo, -8. Todd Ahrens, -8. So we got a foursome there at -8. Put -7 right up here now that we got some room. So now what we have are a bunch of guys at B+, and these are going to make up our -6. So we're only going to take 2 because we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We need 2 more for that 12. So what we're going to do is we're going to take... So I'm going to take all of these. Odd is yes, even is no. And we are going to go ahead and roll each of these, and we're going to go decide or die first, then black, or no, then white, black, silver, green to help mitigate this sum. So the decider is yes, so Marita goes up here. And then everybody else in the first 5 is going to be no. So it's going to be Yielding, Wilborg, Wiles, and Gentry. So now we have 2 more. So we're just going to take the decider die and the white. Kleckner and Scott. Who's going to go? Both. So I'm going to re-roll now. Actually, no, we're going to put them both up here. Now we go by the current money list is what I am using. And so on the current money list, we're looking for Marita. Or Kleckner. Kleckner 62. And who's the other one? Zephaniah Scott. I don't think he's going to get in there. Let me see. Let me just search on Kenji. No, nothing. So he is not there, but neither is Scott. So then what we're going to do is we're going to go to the order on the exempt list. And so Kleckner definitely is going to be one of the 2 that we follow. And I think Marita will be the other one. Let's check out here. I have alphabetical order. Zephaniah Scott is 177. Marita is going to be in the top 100, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 71. So Zephaniah Scott is going to end up with the other B pluses at that, and they will need to get through on the emerging contender roll. So that's currently how it's going to sit. We do need to do one other thing, and we could also do weather too, but the one other thing is going to be the perks and issues. Van Dyke, I like to roll white, black, and green. So Van Dyke will be first. White is 4, clubhouse. Black is 4. Start the round with 5 red chips. So Van Dyke gets hampered by that to start in his tie with Aberley. Then the other one is Connor Messick, who is right here White 2 is sponsor. 1 is gain the sun equality. So, all right. So that pretty much wraps it up. Our weather, that's in the big book. On the back side, we are in Arizona. That's going to be desert climate. We're going to roll black and white. It's 55, and we're in February. No weather impact. So, all right. That just about does it, I think. So that's going to be our scoreboard. I'm going to plug all this stuff into the computer. And but that's basically how you do it. And what you would end up doing is you would get a score sheet, formulate your leaderboard, formulate your pairings or threesomes, and then go. So you would put Aaron's, Kleckner, and Merida in the first one off. Kanishi, Ochoa, or no, my bad. You would pick between Lemons and Huffman, whoever you wanted to. Maybe we'll go Huffman first. But because Lemons was second, let's go Lemons, Kleckner, Merida, because that's -7, -6. Then you get Zelderloot, Aarons, and Huffman as your second one. Messick, Kanishi, Ochoa, and Van Dyke, Aberle, Cho. Those are going to be your threesomes if you're doing threesomes, and if twosomes you go 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And we'll probably just do the full final round here this coming weekend. So anyway, I'm going to put this together. See you soon with more TGT action, the Rattler, final round. Till then, keep rolling, and we'll see if Van Dyke and Aberle one of those guys can win this, or if we'll see somebody emerge from back in the pack. See you soon.